The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery. Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I'm your host, RJ, here with co-host Rachel. And today we've got Dr. Paul Hersh.
Doctor in the building.
Who I've known, God, probably 7, 8 years
close
now?
Close to 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Wow. How'd you guys meet?
Working in the recovery space.
Yeah.
Nice. I heard of this guy named RJ starting a sober living.
Yeah.
And I have, years of experience doing that or, being involved with them. And then I heard that you were an integrous guy and that people really liked dealing with you. And then I met you and I sent people there and the experience was congruent.
Yeah.
You seem to hire people that care and that are actually honest and it's well run.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's in this space. It's hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting characters you come across.
It's funny. When I started my career, there was a man that came into my life, and when he saw that, he thought I was going to be successful, and he goes, and I was in addiction. I used to, when I was 22, I was teaching the addiction model to therapists and thinking, I was like arrogant and thinking I knew everything. And he came to me and he goes, look, what's going to happen now is every program in Southern California is now going to solicit you. They're going to offer you consulting fees and this and that. And he goes, and you got to decide now, are you professional? Or are you a hack?
Yeah.
Because if you do that, you're done.
Yeah.
It's like you owe somebody.
Sellout.
So,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
glad you stayed clean too.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's the way to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you came on, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Where are you from originally?
I grew up about 15 miles from right here.
Really?
Right up the street from Taft High School in Woodland Hills, California.
Okay, got it.
And had 2 brothers, and my parents still live there, 90 and 93.
Wow.
How about that? Yeah. Mom's from Canada.
Same family home.
Same family home.
Shut the no.
Oh, I love that.
That's right.
That.
It's been nice. It's been nice. One brother's passed, but the other brother lives up in Sacramento, but we're all pretty tight.
Yeah. So how did you end up doing, where does your story start?
Addiction is a part of your story, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The addiction.
You've been sober how many?
It's not, so I'll go through it all, but it started in, like a lot of us, where you're born into a family, right? So, and wherever that is on the globe, basically you're born into a transgenerational ethos, right? And so generally where you're born and what time is going to dictate who your deity is, whether or not people are honest, how they deal with emotions, all that. So you come up into a world. And I didn't, we don't realize that we have no context. So it's that our parents are our gods. It's all we know. Yeah. And so what happened for me, the light version is just that, broken family. My parents were divorced by the time I was 4, but they were split by the time I was 2. So I was basically alone all the time. And I was curious from the start. I wanted to know what meant what, and I couldn't get the answer. So my youth was pretty much unintentional covert gaslighting because I kept asking, what's that? Like I'd ask my mom, what's that funeral? I saw somebody said a funeral, and she goes, oh, that's where you go and you sing songs.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It was like, just keep everything, no problems. Just keep, because, they'd been through a lot, and that's for whatever reason, that's what they just weren't evolved that way, but they were survivors. Right. So I spent a lot of time bored, alone, and then pretty quickly became sneaky. And it was just the way, I was fun loving, and it was the only way that that it seemed I could have fun was to be sneaky.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then some weird things happened. So alone all the time, my brother was 16, grew weed in my backyard, told my mom I was growing tomatoes. Right. But I was 6 and bored. And so anytime his friends would come over, marijuana was a part of it.
Right.
So for me, I was probably 9 when I was like, I can't wait to smoke pot. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, 11 years old, rolling bananas and oregano and and then one day I tried it, didn't do anything. And then the second time I did it, it was everything I'd hoped it would be.
Yeah.
It was fun and everything was exciting.
And were you by yourself?
Yeah, it was
just
all
by yourself.
Yeah, just me.
Stole it from your brother.
Yep.
And how old were you?
I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah. I was 12 when that, like with my stepbrother, my brother. And then, and then once that happened, I remember I was 6th grade and I drew a bong on my notebook. And it was just, I was excited. That was my identity, but you couldn't get it because I didn't really have any money. And, nobody back then it was a little more after, it was like, probably late 70s. So it was, it'd kind of gone down in popularity for a bit. And then, so I started doing it and sneaking it. And then when I was 13, I was up the street at a friend's house. And this is pretty weird, but I'm up the street. My friend and I were from the same school and we're playing football. And my buddy Randy, who was 9, his brother was 15, goes, "Hey, let's go hang out at my house." Go to his house. We're wrestling. And as we're wrestling, they had this wet bar. And I all of a sudden see this circle of cardboard float up into the air. And I'm like, "That's weird. What's that?" And I go look, and someone had carved a hole in this cabinet, right? And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, because I knew the mom smoked pot. I'm like, "That's weed. That's got to be weed, right?" So Randy goes in there, pulls it out. He's this far away from me, and I go, "What is it?" He goes, "Money, 60 grand."
Oh shit!
13 years old. Wow. And my sneaky, I'm just like, how am I going to get this? I didn't have to. He started handing us out stacks of money. So I left with $10,000. Shut up. Swear to God. He left. I'd never met the kid, left with 8,000. Okay. It only lasted a week, but that turned something on. It changed something because then I became greedy. I just wanted money after that. And
what'd you do with the money?
Oh gosh. I mean, you couldn't buy that much pot. I'm 13, like, I could get little bits of time. We bought skateboards and came home, and my mom would say, like, how'd you get skateboards? I'm like, I'm demoing them for Valsurf. She's like, but you haven't skated that long. I'm like, no, I'm really good now. So I just got away with it. I would spend a lot of money in arcades. I used to go into banks to try to cash the hundreds. Yeah. And they would say things like, "Hold on, I got to get the manager." I'd be like, no, it's, at 13, I'm like, no, it's cool. Let me just, and I just bail, right? Right. And at the end, he was walking around handing people money just on the street. Okay. So he handed my best friend, who was down the street, $1,000. Kid comes up, he goes, "Randy gave me $1,000. I go, "That's cool." Idiot. I go, "He gave me 10,000. Oh. He brings it to school 4 days later, shows somebody, principal's office. And then I come home and my mom goes, "Listen, we got to talk." And I was sure she found my weed. And then she goes, "I know about the money." I was like, "Oh." Yeah. And then I just lied. I'm like, "I just felt bad. I wanted you to know that I was smoking, but I felt bad." So I just played relief. Ended up having to give the money back. There's a story there.
And it was like a kid's parents' money or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, and they didn't say anything because obviously it was like some tax-free.
Right. Yeah.
And that sparked something because I just wanted fun. I wanted comfort, distraction. At that point, I did not think feelings were important. Right. It was just move forward. I could do well in school without trying hard. So I could just had a lot of free time. And then I just started stealing. So more and more. And it was all pot at that point. So my stepdad would come home and I got really keen at like tracking footsteps. And I was then at that point, I was like, not like I was a good-hearted guy, but I was now more criminal minded because I thought we were friends. I would try to be there when your dad came home. I mean, 13, 14, 15. And I would, "Hey, how you doing, mister?" Whatever. And then I'd listen to where the footsteps are and I'd have to use the restroom and I'd try to get into the wallet. Okay. Right. As I was doing this, there was a part of me, we're made up of parts, right? So there was a part of me that had trouble looking in the mirror. So I just didn't look in the mirror a lot. Right. And then I just remember I thought I would never do a hard drug. And then I don't even remember how I first came across it, how I first came across cocaine. Once I got exposed to that, it was like, oh, this is going to be really exciting. So I started stealing more money and had a relation. And then I turned like 15, 16 and then had a relationship with a drug dealer. And I was just out of control. I got to the point where I couldn't get any more money. My dad was like this genius bipolar guy. So he would make a lot of money and then be in bed for 2 months, right? Before I was born. And I got him after he had gotten treatment, but he could win money with cards. So he'd have $300,000 in suits and shoes just stuffed in there at all times. Wow. Right. So it's like, and then he started to notice and then all of a sudden that went away. Then I got more risky. Then I started getting stuff fronted.
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
And then it came to a head where I had a friend named Matt who we had partied before, but I knew he got sober. Got a call from the drug dealer, and he's like, hey, man, I'm coming to your house. Like, you owe me $2,000, coming to your house, give you a week, that's it. And my mom, you would not want to piss my mom off, right? So I panicked. Half of me just wanted out of the problem with him. And another part of me was like, maybe I could feel good. Like, maybe I'm tired of this. So I got him over, met with my mom, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to get sober. I have a problem. Could you pay off this debt? And she paid off the debt. And at that time, that's when I got introduced to Alan Ludington. Okay. So Al was a previous pastor, became a therapist. Okay, that's right. That's right. He was 28.
Ludington Group. That's right.
That's
right. Okay.
Get him in here.
And somebody just told me some of this. His son.
Oh, Trevor.
I went and got lunch with him the other day.
Okay, great guy. Yeah, he's there. Just their whole team is solid. So there's this program called Be Free. It was the largest in Southern California at the time. And kind of like you're doing, he took his time to find people that were actually in recovery, not clean, not just doing it. They were in it. They were in honesty, right? And they were fun. And they were all like a year or two older. So I go in this program and I was like, this is going to suck, right? And they'd have sober parties. I'm like, you're killing me. Sober parties. You know, the first couple were just like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to say. Brings up all your anxiety.
Where do my hands go?
That's right. But when I met him, something happened because he was the happiest man I'd ever met. I mean, he would be like meeting you now. Like you have a glow to you. You look happy, right? So do you. Like, and I was like, you don't smoke pot? He's like, no, Paul, I don't smoke pot. I'm like, you drink, right? You drink.
Yeah, something. You're doing something.
Right. And he's like, no, all my brothers and sisters are all drug addict alcoholics. I'm the only one that didn't go that path. And no, this is actually me. I don't know why. I mean, I never forgot that. It was like, that's possible. Right. And then I got into the program. I worked steps. I got on the ground. We can talk about the exploration to higher power and all that, because that was more complicated for me being a skeptic and more of a science mind. That was a rough road for a bit, but we can talk about that. And then I remember I had 5 months sober, and I thought to myself, most of my trouble came from getting this stuff, not having the stuff. What happens when I'm rich, when I'm like older and I start a company? I need to know now. So within 24 hours, I decided I'm going to get a bunch of cocaine, a bunch of pot, a bunch of alcohol. I didn't like alcohol, and do my experiment. It was October 3rd, 1984. And I had a girlfriend in the program. She came over, and here's what happened. Check this out. Sorry if Al doesn't want me to say this, because he's a humble guy. So I'm 5 months sober. I go to Matt. I go, hey, man, tonight I'm doing this experiment. I'm doing this and this. Please don't tell anybody. Right now he's in recovery. He's like, I'm not keeping the secret. Right. He goes, I'm going to tell him. We had a Be Free meeting that night. All the parents, everything. He goes, I'm going to tell him. So sorry, man. Love you. So I go, and it was one of these nights where everything was busy and crazy. So Al was the head of it, was running around. He comes up to me. He goes, sit down. He goes, I know what you're going to do, because I was getting $500 of coke delivered that night. Right. And he goes, I know what you're going to do, and I don't want you to do it. I love you. I want you to, you're liked here. You're cared about. You can be a star. Like, don't do this. And I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to do this. And he goes, look, I'll give you $500 right now not to do it. Just wait till tomorrow. We'll meet. Don't do it. I said, thank you. No. He goes, I'll give you $1,000. You can double your money right now. I'll give you $1,000. Just don't do it today. And I said, really, really, I appreciate that. But
I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it.
Right, just insanity.
Yeah.
And I did. And girlfriend came over. I said, I think you should leave. This is not your thing. I don't want you part of it. She goes, no, I'll just stay and hang out. And of course, open the fold and then I was running around all night doing that. At 4:00 the next day was the closest I've ever been to being suicidal. I wasn't actually suicidal, but it was the closest to like that abyss of meaninglessness.
Right.
And then boom, like a little light happened. It was just like, oh, like this is never going to work. Right. And then I remember going back and talking to the counselors going, hey man, I got it. Like I know now that it's not going to work. And he goes, yeah, that's not recovery. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, if logic worked, we'd all be sober.
Yeah.
Right. He goes, so that's good right now, but that's not going to work in a little while. You'll see, it's not going to last.
It's not going to last. Yeah.
And I believed him.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And then I just actually had like a great sponsor who, we can talk about some of the things that happened from other, but that was the origin of what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
Got it. How interesting.
Yeah.
So then how soon do you get a sponsor after that?
Well, in that program, you got a sponsor right away. Like,
okay. Yeah. It's assigned to you. You're like,
Be Free. It's not around anymore. It was when insurance changed, they couldn't do the model anymore because it was a lot of work for that the insurance would pay for, so people wouldn't have to pay a lot.
Right.
Yeah. But what happened there is once October 3rd happened, that 1984, then 9 months later, I was a counselor. 9 months later, I was a senior counselor. 9 months later, I was
in Be Free.
Yeah. 9 months later, I'm a program coordinator to Be Free.
Got it.
And worked directly with Al and a guy named Warren Walker. They started. And it was amazing. It was
how cool,
incredible.
Man. And so what was this program like? Walk me through what.
Well, they had 5 bases from Ventura to Van Nuys. Okay. My base was in Woodland Hills, Encino. And what would happen is, excuse me, one day a week, it would be all the parents. So you'd have 100 people. We'd rent out churches, like big churches. It'd be 100 people in a room. He would break up the parents into small groups. And he'd sometimes do it with the kids, but mostly it was separate for parents to learn. And then he would do small groups for all of us that we'd all run or counselors would run. And then at the end, they'd close. And then there was a step meeting. There was always a party on Saturday night. And then there was one other, like a process group. So you end up being with these people 4 or 5 days a week. And that's one of the things that most people, I don't think, understand about actual joyful sobriety is it has to be about the relationships.
For sure.
And you don't, what we call fellowship.
That community.
If you don't have that, it just doesn't, you don't get the full
There's got to be the joyful nights. There's got to be the work. There's got to be all the different components.
That's right. So I was sponsoring people. And then when that happened, I think by the time that happened, I was 17 and a half. And I was just about to go to CSUN. And my whole life, I saw Animal House. I wanted Animal House.
The college experience.
I wanted the wild, crazy, right? And I was like going to CSUN and I wanted to be in the fraternity. And I'm going to everybody. I'm like, hey, I like my whole life wanted to be in a fraternity. They're like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, but I didn't get sober to live a dull life. My sponsor goes, hey man, you live a good if you work a good recovery program,
your life's going to be great.
You can do anything you want. You could be a bartender. You can do whatever you want. I'm like, so I can go pledge this fraternity. He's like, if you're working a good program, you do anything you want. 4 months sober, join the fraternity, announce I'm sober, Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity in Northridge, 90 guys, never got messed with, never got pressured. When I got a year sober and Be Free, 65 of the guys came to it and sung the fraternity song and everybody's crying, right? So, and then along that way, I was sponsoring people and that's when the work around the humility work happened because I was narcissistically slanted and, still have to work on that. But I was just not grounded. And so, but I listened. I did the thing where I believe that a good program is you get up every morning and you run through your protocol to get oriented, because much like time blocking, so I time block at night because I know when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have other personalities there, right? That don't want to do it. And it's sort of a version of a higher power. That's the best part of me. That's the planner, right? That's my frontal neocortex. That's the most evolved part. And so the next day it's like, and that part might be the whatever God is, that's an inspired part. So it's like, better listen to that. So that's kind of still my rule. It's like, make my list, do my thing. And then whatever it says, got to do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to CSUN, you're part of a frat, you've got a year sober, and you're going to CSUN and you want to become a therapist.
Yep.
That's like you know.
So that's what you went for, like immediately.
Within 1 year after I met Al, I was like, that's what I'm doing.
I've got to meet clients that have come, through finding Oak Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, at Bonfire or after, and seen like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
And I was going to be in real estate. I was working in real estate at 16, putting up signs everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, that'd be special.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of like truly brilliant clinicians. I'd say he's one for sure. Mm-hmm. And to be exposed to that at that level of mastery. And
I can't even imagine.
And he was having fun. He was like smiling all the time. I was like, okay. So that's when I started. And then what happened is, as I went through my school and I was just about to go to my doctorate, it was time for an internship. And at that time, Conejo Counseling Center was the king. It was like they had 15 therapists. No other counseling center within 50 miles that I knew of was that big, right? And I had previously, when I was program coordinator, gone into their therapists, talked about the addiction model, the obsession, compulsion, spiritual bankruptcy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went and I thought as a shoe-in to be an intern. Yeah. And I interned with this woman named Charlene Crothers, who's just a fantastic therapist, now retired. Asked me a question, I answered, and she goes, Paul, you're a great counselor, but you're not ready for Conejo counseling for a therapist. And I was like crushed. Right? It's like an ego crush, right? And I was wounded and like, I was felt abandoned.
Being narcissistically slanted. Just like, don't you know?
Don't you understand, right? Yeah. And that's just, and that's, as we know, that's what we would call narcissistic rebuke. And then I was like kind of mad at them.
Yes, of course. Like, yeah.
But it was the best thing that ever happened. Best thing that ever happened. Yeah. And then I went from there, I started working at other places. And I worked for I ran a drug prevention for Catholic Charities for 9 months. We had a van and we'd go 6th and Alvarado. We would go and do meetings and feed the kids and do that. Worked for PADAP for a little bit, if you remember them. And then there was Van Nuys Psychiatric Hospital. I was director of substance abuse programs there. Mm. And I was just in it and going to school. And really, my stepdad was a hero of mine. So he just said, as long as you're a good guy, any school you want to go to, I'll pay for.
Wow.
So then I went back 2 years later. She asked me the question, some other question I answered, and she goes, welcome. Mm-hmm. 1 week after that, Al announced he was leaving the counseling center. Mm-hmm. And then one day after that, I said, let's go to coffee. And one day after that, he said, come to my new shop. And that was 32 years ago.
Wow.
Worked for him for 4 years. I was full in 6 months with 40 clients. Okay. Because that's just what he's like. Okay. Yeah. And so... but I worked there 4 years. I told myself I'm not leaving till I have 2 years, like at least 2 years full. Then I stayed for 3.5 after that. And I go to Al and I go, hey man, I think I'm ready to like do my own thing. And he goes, I think you are. He was like, and I opened up the door. And this is just like, gives me chills thinking about, because like, are there coincidences? Are there not? I haven't figured it out. But that one was wild. And I opened the door and they're taking the plaque down. Of the
across
office,
the hallway,
directly across the hall.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Right. So that was 28 years ago.
And you're still there, right?
I'm still there.
Yeah.
And so still doing my thing there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just, but I think those core principles of like, being such a liar and and not looking in the mirror. And then that became more refined because rigorous honesty was extremely difficult because people think like, just be honest. Well, if once your map is corrupted, you can't be honest. You don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So once you we all look down, we could call it our unconscious, we could call it whatever, but you look down for decisions, right? And it gives you an answer. But when your map's corrupted, you don't get the right answers generally. You get convenient answers, answers that would not be very hard. Mm-hmm. So the idea wasn't don't try to be honest. It was don't lie.
Yeah.
And it was near impossible. To the point where I went into my therapist, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. She goes, try this. Don't say anything for a day.
Yeah.
Because I was Mr. How you doing? What's going on? And there's like, how about you stop all that shit? Stop all that fake shit. Just be who you are. I'm like, here's me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel great yet. I was like, I mean, I felt good, but I didn't, I was numb kind of in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I remember I spent a whole day, people would go up, I did talk, they'd say, how you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I was just right there. And like, well, that's weird. I'm like, yeah. And I just for one day, it was to do that. And then something clicked and it was like, okay, even if it's hurting people's feelings, even if it's not convenient, even if it means, you know, like the classic one I deal with couples is the guy goes, what's the big deal? Like I was like out here, you know, there's a 405, you're going to the city. And then when you're on the way here, you're on the 101. Wife calls, says, where are you? He goes, oh, I'm on the 101. Right. And people don't realize that is not a subtle little lie. And that any relationship you're going to make important, right? As you know, it's based on trust. And people, even if you don't notice, your unconscious will notice. And those little things that decay trust have a direct effect in how loved you feel, in how separated you are from facing the conflicts. Because if you have other distractions like that, you just won't take the time to finish repair. Right? So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember asking you at the beginning of this, I go, you can ask me the hardest things that make me uncomfortable. And I'm okay.
I want to know how you said God was a struggle for you with your science brain. So I want to know, because I know I struggled with the God thing when not so much science. I just didn't really, you know, I had a whole religious trauma and all this other stuff, but I'm really curious to see how you navigated that.
Cool. Okay. So start with, I had a weird, I'm not going to call it a vision, just my imagination, whatever it was, 5 years old, remember where I'm standing. All of a sudden, I pictured the end of my life. And what I saw was that I didn't see God or anything, but I remember that the idea was I was going to reflect on my life and I got a choice in the next life. 5 years old, I remember where I was standing and it was like, you had to do these lives, but you got some choice of which came next. It's like, you got to be the guy on the wheelchair. You get to be the guy that won the lottery. You're going to have to do all these different lives, but somehow I thought in this thing that I got to choose. Okay. So I had that moment, forgot about it. And because I didn't have a lot of people that I trusted, right? You know, if you have a family, the more trustworthy the parents are, the more kids are open to new ideas, right? And I was closed. So at that point, I was closed to new ideas. I was a skeptic. Anything you told me, like, prove it to me. You know, again, some narcissism there, right? And then, so getting in the program, it just, I was worried I was in a cult. I was worried that like I was in some religious thing. You know, and I didn't want to be in a religious thing because I figured, well, there's at least 400 religions and everybody thinks they're right. That means none of them can be right. They can't each be one. That would be too weird, right? So, but I just followed direction. So what happened is I started just getting on the ground, and the idea was just be open to the idea, say the first 3 steps, and then the serenity prayer, and then in the third step prayer, my version was, God, whatever you are. And that worked for me. Like at that point, God, whatever you are, I turn my will and my life over to you.
That's a good way to go about it. Yeah.
And I was probably years before I felt what I feel now, right? Like I just felt good about it. I didn't really feel a connection, but it felt living your life as if there's a God is a better life. Right. Right. So, right. So, and then
logically you could see that. And that connection made sense.
Right. Because otherwise you're sort of in this godless Nietzsche world where do anything you want, nothing matters. And that doesn't really fit. That right and wrong really is a thing. Right? So then what I'll tell you one hard thing. So then just little things happened. And then I'm going to fast forward quite a bit to about 19 years ago. And then tragedy hit me. So my wife has an autoimmune disease. So she kept having trouble keeping the fetus, right? So we got a surrogate. So my sperm, her egg, got a surrogate. I'm excited. Everything's good. At 25 weeks, we go in for a checkup. It was in San Diego. The woman lived in San Diego. We go for the checkup. Doctor comes out. He goes, hey, there's a problem. She has an infection. She's going on bed rest. We're going to try to keep them in as long as possible. 4 days later, my twin girls are born at 25 weeks.
Oh, wow.
1 pound, 10 ounces.
Wow.
Okay. Mary Sharp Hospital in San Diego. Great place. And So I had to work. We needed money. So I would work 5 days a week here, take the train from Moore Park, go to San Diego and be with my wife. That was 100 days of that.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time he came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
And at about, I'm not going to get this right, but probably about the 45th day, we had to let Zoe go because she had a brain bleed, and if she was not going to be okay. She was they're like, she is in pain for sure, and she is not going to be okay. So that's a pretty surreal thing, because when you do that, you're holding your child as they pass, and they put medication on them, right? And so what happened is I called I had like two mentors. I called one of them, and I'm destroyed, right? And he felt bad. He goes, man, you might need to go scream at God. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I go back to the hotel room, and Noah was there, and I just went off. I was like, fuck you, motherfucker. It's like, I'm trying to be good, trying to help people, and this, right? And then this started to happen. And then I just started bawling on the floor, crying the deepest cry I'd ever had. And after about 5 minutes, something that has never happened since that time, it had never happened before. It's just a wild thing. I felt all of a sudden completely loved. It was profound. It was like completely accepted and loved. I still haven't had that like that since that day. Completely loved. And then there was a voice, and it wasn't me. And it said two sentences. And it said, and it wasn't even a tone of voice. It was just like two sentences in a message that I couldn't determine the voice. And it said, I'm so sorry. There are accidents. And then the love came, and then I cried more. And that was probably the most spiritual thing that ever happened in my life. Wow. Right. So, when something like that happens to you, you don't know what it is, but there's no other way to explain it. That there is something that I don't get to understand. And as a scientist, well, I'm not a scientist, but I would say that the understanding, if we said understanding God, that's like trying to think and have sensors for the fourth dimension. And we don't have that. We live in the third dimension. Our brain is evolved for third dimension. And so we cannot I don't believe we can conceptualize God. Yeah. Perhaps it's true that Jesus is the Son of Christ, and that's what it is. Right. I'm open to that. Yeah. And I'm open that that's a metaphor. Right. And that there's something that's a way for us third dimension people to be able to understand the symbolism and the meanings and all that. I don't know. Yeah. But so I just have accepted that I mean, maybe someday I'll get it, but I don't get to know. Yeah. I don't get to know exactly what it is, but for whatever reason, I have that true feeling of like something being there. Yeah. Pretty much now, like all the time. Wow.
Yeah. Incredible. Isn't that crazy how that happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is similar.
Yeah. You did too?
Yeah. I had a similar, you know what, how you just explained that, like you felt completely loved. I lost my boyfriend, and I had like maybe 2 or 3 months sober, and it was the first time in my addiction I had always dealt with death. Like I immediately relapse. Immediately I'm mental anguish. I'm like beside myself, and that was the first time I had started working a program. I had started praying, and I had tried to make a relationship with whatever God, and I had an issue with that, right? And I would just pray to whatever, and that was the first time after he died. Literally, as soon as I got off the phone and I was told, and everyone was worried about me, I felt this like peace. And when you said you just felt like wrapped in love, like I had a very similar experience. It's really, I've never heard it explained like that. And that it's It's really beautiful, you know?
So what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy how that happens.
Do you mind? I don't know what you believe and where you are on that topic.
Yeah. I'm, I don't know if I would identify with any specific religion. I'd probably more Christian than anything, but, I believe I have my own conception of God. And I think I'm very much like you when you talk about, like, I don't think that we have that fourth dimension sensor to really understand it. Right. And I think there's a lot of really great metaphors that we can, and stories that help us understand and connect. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's indescribable. It's unexplainable, and I couldn't package it. And I don't think that we can.
Right. We don't have the language.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It exists in something else. It exists in what you guys just talked about. It exists in some profound state that maybe we get to, feel sometimes.
Yeah.
And know is there. But I guess that's that, trust and belief, right? It's like, it exists. You can't see it. You can't know it. It's not there with you all the time, like tangibly. And you have to have that belief. That's what belief is, right? And it's like that pursuit for belief.
Yeah.
It's like that human journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's the deepest, greatest one, I think, right? It's like,
I mean, speaking of the sensors, it's like, it's a fact that if you find like a termite mound and you cut off the top, and you can be pretty close to them, and they have no idea, if they can't feel your heat, they have no idea you're there. There's just no sensors.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good example. And here we are, this higher being that's could do anything we want. And they have no idea.
Right. Right.
Okay. So I would feel, I should say this. So that whatever that connection is that I don't get to know what it is. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is if I make a mistake, I still feel it. But if I do something wrong, I can literally feel the decay.
Yeah.
And whether that's a decay of myself,
Yeah.
You know, because I think every time you lie, you lose something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. And I've just noticed that. So if I litter or something,
it's like the sickness seeps in.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like there's is an interesting thing, like there's rigorous honesty. And then as odd as this is, there's something called spiritual dishonesty. So the answer to that would be like, you're married, you're having sex with your wife, your 4-year-old busts in the door you thought was locked, you hop off each other, you're sweating, 4-year-old goes, what were you doing? Well, the right answer is wrestling. That's the right answer. But you can't even do that unless you practice rigorous honesty for a long time and you actually know where the ground is. Because otherwise you're just in your grandiosity, make it, just be convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be, and that line is thin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thin line. So what I just noticed is if there's a white lie that, do I ever tell a white lie? Yeah. And sometimes it's not a white lie. It's like, it's a little awkwardness I'm avoiding.
Yeah.
And, we're still trying to find, is it, is brutal honesty good?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. What's the intent of that?
It could cause harm,
That's
So I think that's how you gauge it, right? It's like, if this is going to cause harm, then, you're kind of being of service by saying a little, bending the truth, if you will,
So we would delineate then between causing disappointment and bad feelings versus harm.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the line.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should explain answer your question about how many years sober, because I would feel incongruous if I didn't, because I'm not in recovery and sober. I would say I am in recovery. I'm still operate in that force field and in that humility, and I'd still say within the 12 steps, but I don't identify as a sober addict anymore. And you have to be careful where you say that. So what happened for me is I was 8 years sober. Fraternity happened. I was already a therapist at that point. And I sponsored people. I think I had like 5 sponsees or something. And then what started to happen is I started to, and I, learned about family history and I learned about therapy and all that. And then I stopped identifying with being an addict. Like there was a part of me was like, something doesn't feel right about that. But then I thought, that's just the disease. That's just that. It's messing with me. So actually, I remember I went to Al at that point. I said, hey, I got to talk to you. Excuse me. Went in his office and I go, here's what's going on. And I think he said something like, yeah, at some point you may have to find out.
In your experience with treatment, how special is Oak Forest?
Oak Forest is very special. I've had my fair share of treatment experiences. I've even worked in treatment myself. And Oak Forest is like something I've never really experienced before. And I think that it's almost something that like cannot be replicated anywhere else, at least from what I've seen, right? And so it's just like this community and the love and the support that goes from the beginning of the process, and not even just with the clients, with the families, with everything else. Like everything that I have seen goes above and beyond. And like beyond even as like all of these people are being employed long after they have completed treatment, right? And I think that right there says everything.
Okay, forget that I ever said that. I don't need to find out. My life's too good. I'm not finding anything out. And I didn't do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
12 years sober. Went back to him again. And I'm like, hey, man, I just don't want to make a mistake. And we went through what am I feeling? What is it? And did I have a desire to drink? No. Did I have a desire to do it? I did not. I did not want that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to be true to myself. Getting sober at 17 is tricky because, you're not even individuated. You're unintegrated.
Right.
You haven't worked on anything. And, I've had so many clients just that are sort of in that pocket of like where it's hard to know. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he goes, I don't really have a different thing to say. He goes, it's a risk, but if so I remember I had a girlfriend at that time and I wasn't married, and I ended up going, hey, tonight I'm going to have half a glass of wine. She goes, what? You? Because she drank and I was fine with it. I was social chairman of Pike Alpha, never had an issue. It was fine. And so I woke up in the morning, had a half a glass of wine, woke up in the morning, I'm like, okay, what happened? And, still have not done cocaine, don't smoke pot, don't drink a lot. It was a bit scary though, because it was so new. And I just thought, God, at any moment. Yeah. Because am I just being grandiose? Or is this my narcissism just doesn't want to be an addict, wants to be but it wasn't that. And that was 28 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're just a normie.
Yeah, I'm just a normie.
You're just a normie.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Try to be. So whether it's good or bad, I think
it's great.
Either way
you
is
have
fine.
a great life.
Yeah. And it's, but it's the same. I didn't veer off the principles. Yeah. I know what happens if I lie. I know that I'm not the same guy.
Yeah.
And it really is true. I think we become something different.
Oh, 100%. One of my best friends, she uses a lot of plant medicine. She like microdoses shrooms. Sometimes she'll even do a little bit more. She uses CBD instead of or THC for pain management instead of other medicines she was on, and she still lives in the principles as well. And like, it's kind of the same vibe. And like, I think in 12-step, it's scary, right? When we see someone go out, we're like, oh my God, no, no, you're going to die. It's going to, but I think there is that like genre of people that can, recover and do that and still live.
For sure.
Yeah.
Transparently, like your friend, I do get a little suspect of the microdosing.
Yeah.
Not with her, not if
Oh no, I'm curious.
But I just, as that's come up, and I believe in it as a science. I mean, I believe it's a 70% of the people who have trouble in treating a depression, even 70% of the time, if they've been haven't been able to find success, that'll unlock something.
Yes.
Same thing with quitting smoking. Really interesting, right?
Wow.
But and I've certainly had my experiences and had great experiences, right? And some of them I would say even transformative, right?
Yeah.
However, the microdosing thing is interesting because I know a lot of people that seem to have relative success that way. I'm curious what is going to happen as the years go on, because I just think you keep a certain door open like that. I think it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And well,
so what do you think will happen?
Well.
Yeah. Well, totally.
Genetically, totally. If you're predisposed to any psychotic,
it can be.
Yeah.
Totally.
Just like if you're, we're born and our DNA is a certain probability of becoming diabetic, right? So I'm born at a certain probability. Well, then
if
I'm raised, and if I just eat ice cream every day,
exactly.
Potentially,
yeah.
Right? And so I think what happens with a lot of that continued use, I think you're potentiating your ancestors' problems.
So what you're saying is one big dose every once in a while.
Maybe twice in a person's life. Yeah. You know.
I'm kidding.
Yes, again, you're unlocking things there that you roll the dice. You know.
Yeah. So how many years have you been a therapist? So
I've been a therapist. I'm 25 and 59.
Okay.
So however many years that is, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So over 30, I think 35.
And what do you think are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned being a therapist, treating as many people as you've treated for that many years?
Well, going back to that thing about if you're a professional, if you're actually integrally oriented, right? So I really do care about most people that walk in.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older and hopefully a little wiser, that's only increased. So it's easier to care about people than it ever's been, right? So that's there. And I want to do it right. So for me, it was like better I don't say anything than guess. For a long time, it was like, because I was like going to supervisors going, I don't know what to do. And they're like, just being there, being receptive and listening to somebody is healing. You don't have to be a star. Just that'll come. And then, so I honestly think getting good supervision was my key. I think you have to. So these days you can listen to YouTube, you can do all kinds of stuff. But I had people in my life that I would bring cases to, and people that have been practicing 20, 30 years. And that really made a difference because you're getting a way of languaging something that it would take you a long time to come up with. So that's how I think evolution kind of accelerates.
Right.
So, and then what started to happen, so it's be honest. Don't make people feel better. That's not my job. Make you feel better today. It's why are you here? Because that's what I got trained in was like, you see all kinds of therapy, but the guys that I trust and the women that I trust that do it right, it's why are you here? Right. And what's your relationship to the problem? And what's your willingness? If I know how to help you to get better, what's your willingness?
Right.
Right. And to not mess around with that, not vary from that, because you can get more clients in the beginning if you just make people feel good. Right. But you don't really help people. So my thing is to try to really each client care about them. And even in a couple setting, so probably a third of my practice is couples, it's each person is 100% responsible for 50% of the problem. So it's your ownership, what you're accountable to. And usually in a session or two, what happens is you do it for a while and in your guys' lives, patterns show up. Then you have to be wary of the patterns, because then you could just be projecting on somebody this thing, right? So you have to be like really humble in every moment, knowing that this could be wrong. But then what happens is you can really present somebody a map pretty quickly of like, it's like, I've seen this. I don't know what you should do. I'm not God. I'm not your boss. I don't tell clients what to do. It's not right. But I can tell you that in these situations, this is what tends to work. And this is what doesn't tend to work. So if you want to keep drinking, probably not going to work. If you're going to keep lying, not going to work. If you're going to cheat on your wife, probably not. It's probably going to work. Right. Like 50% of marriages fail. Then it just goes up from there. Second marriage is worse. Third marriage is worse. You'd think we'd figure it out. Right?
It actually gets worse.
But they don't. They don't. In fact, there's a new book, just so you know, that came out called This Is How Your Marriage Ends. Terrible title. One of the best books on the subtleties of trust in a relationship that I've seen in a while. So now I'm having couples listen to that. And it's written from the perspective of a divorced man. He wrote a paper years ago called My Wife Divorced Me Because I Wouldn't Do the Dishes. And that was his beginning, and then ended up realizing about the subtleties of agreements and how you cannot have the best relationship without trust, without like every word matters. Like every interaction. You know, you're going to do that Thursday. It's like, and me, because I have like untreated ADD my whole life, never been on medication for it, kind of learned how to work with it. And my rule is like something like that. If you're my wife and you go, hey, remember, we're doing that thing Thursday, I'll be like, don't say another word. I'll go get my book.
Yeah.
And my rule is don't remember anything.
Yeah.
It always has to be like that. So yeah, that's a little bit of that answer.
Wow. Okay. And so in practicing, what are some of the most difficult problems you've seen, with people that are hard to get through?
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
Probably the hardest problems are attachment issues. So people have unstable attachment as children, right? And what they're doing in relationships is, some say the unconscious is actually guiding you to recreate your trauma and try to have it like, it thinks if I do this again, if I marry somebody like my dad, this is imperfect, right?
Right.
Then, and I could make it work, then that's good. Something like that. Okay. But, or you could just look at it as there's unstable attachment. So they can't really feel like they're really important, right? Like, there's terrible parents, right? Yeah. And then there's people like my parents are great people, good hearted, like they didn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They did not know what they're doing, right? So let's see. I'd say what happens is that there's a desperation that lives in these people for a connection. But because there's so much desperation, if you come into my life, those attachment circuits light up really quickly, right? So what'll happen for an attachment disorder person is the fantasy starts really early. Fantasy about what this is. And once that happens, it's really hard to break. So then, you're not really good to me. You freak out. You hit me sometimes, right? But that attachment disorder would be the diagnostic piece for me is that they really don't think they can find anybody else deep down. They don't really believe that that's possible. It's like, this was lucky, right? So whether it's a battered woman or a man who's, with a wife that, is chronically angry or something like that. So the hardest problem is people leaving people. And people being able to go out and face their individuation and face that courage. That's one of the hardest. And the other hardest is probably people that have been through serious trauma. So a good part of my practice is trauma. The obviously as a therapist, what you generally want to do is I believe in looking back. Right? I don't believe in dwelling in the past. That's crazy. But
you got to look back.
You cannot know who you are now.
You got to see the road.
You got to go back and you got to feel those feelings. You got to see that. Well, I treat soldiers sometimes.
Right.
And some of these guys, there's a line how far they can go. You're going to break them. The brain can only take so much. And it's like, that's good enough. So it's kind of trying to find, how far can this person go in facing the demons.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when treating trauma, what have you seen to be the most effective?
Is it different for everyone,
solution?
Or is there
Well, it's probably different for every pair of client and therapist because there's all those energies working.
Yeah.
But them actually, people have a sensor if you care or not, and you can fake it for a bit, but because fortunately I do, they can feel that. That's one. So I can start to form a connection with the part of you that's hurt. Yeah. Right. And if I'm adept at this, I can see when you start going into false self. Right. So I see when you're not really being organic. Right. And so I'll bring you back. And that is a trust building experience.
Yeah.
This guy sees me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's somehow some of it through my own story, some of it through, mostly it's through my own story and just through telling them my experience is that that it's worth it for them to look into the abyss, that it's actually worth it to look into these places that are horrifying.
Right.
Like, some people have been through things that are just, they're unconscionable. I've heard stories you can't believe that a parent would do that.
Right.
I mean, really stuff you couldn't say on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right. And like, really, it's really worth it, but then you got to, so it's like back up, go forward. And so I would say my commitment that I really believe in integration, and that the bravery. So the general thing is, contrary action, like what's contrary action? So in my book, contrary action is anytime you're going to do something that's good, but hard.
Yeah.
Right. It seems to be a fact that you're met with courage and bravery. Right. Might take a couple times, but that seems to be the effect. Well, that's an interesting thing. Right. So it's that principle and they can see that I could believe it. Right. And they believe me that I've walked people through it. And so it's just like anywhere, if we're in the dark and I have a light and I go, hey man, like I've been here. Yeah. Must be scary for you. Right. One little step at a time. You get scared. Let's just stop. Right. We can stop and talk a little bit. Then we'll go forward. And so people have, melted on my floor. They've screamed at the top of their lungs. Right. And I was just lucky to be trained in a way that knew how to contain that. Right. And then work with their relief system afterwards. And then for me, it's this, we're all evolving, right? So, and I believe that the more ethical we are, the more we grow, right? And the more we challenge that contrary action, when we do that, we actually become different people, better people, right? Yeah. More of ourselves, let's say. Right. And so my guess is they can sense that I really believe that. So most people will take the step. And then what happens is like they find out, whoa, like I'm actually okay. Like, and once that happens a couple times and they like realize, all right, and you have to make sure they have support. You have to make sure that they're oriented towards support, right? Because otherwise you have to go way slower. Yeah. And then what happens is that they get met with that courage and bravery, right? And then they have a lot more choices of how they can do their lives and what they can do and how they can face it and who they should be in relationship with.
Wow. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
Yeah.
And my wife would attest to it that the hardest thing for me is making mistakes, and I must make 5 a day because I know that I'll have this feeling like I know where to go. I think, but I don't know enough. Like it happens, there's more to learn. Right. And that is hard. Or I make a mistake and I like come back. I'm like, and she knows what it's like for me. Like that'll eat me up for about an hour at home. How you doing? I'm like, made a mistake.
Yeah.
But now it's built in. It's like, I know I'm going to do it. And there's something good to that. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you learn from mistakes, you know, so.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the biggest lessons I think you have learned just working with so many people about just humanity?
Well, that we all seek connection, that the pathway to connection is vulnerability. The barrier to that is shame, that all of us are afraid deep down of disconnection. And so it's the idea that it's really tricky. It's really tricky to language, but like, in essence, that it's worth it. So I would say, lessons would be, don't get ahead of myself. Like, and that means working too hard. Because sometimes I'll be trying to drive too hard to the solution. And it's just, you got to just be with people where they are sometimes for a while. Okay. But I would say, connection is what we're all deep down wanting. We're all afraid of disconnection, right? I had a moment with my wife on the 5th date. She goes, I was already in love. I already knew I wanted to marry her. I think she felt the same way. She goes, tell me something I don't know about yourself. I'm like, fuck. All right, really am I going to do this? All right, here it is. Ready? Deep down, I feel like there's rotten inside. Like if you really knew me, I think there's something rotten inside. She's like, what? Really? I'm like, well, you want to know? This is what you're bearing. Like, you know, and most of that is gone, but I don't know it. There's still a little speck of like the imposter, So I'd say connection. I would say that it seems to be that the ethics are built into our world. And so really taking the time to make ethical choices that are generally the harder ones. Yeah. That's important. Be careful who you, beware of dependency, especially when you're choosing a mate. Right.
I've got to meet clients that have come, through finding O4S through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, at bonfire or after, and seen like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
If I would have gotten married at 25, there's no way it would have worked. There's no way. I didn't know how to do it. And, I was a nice guy. I was honest or whatever, but I did not know how much you have to give, and that you better find someone you trust, because I've been married coming on 26 years.
Wow, congrats.
And you have to be with somebody that'll do it with you, that is willing to say, I'm sorry, that's willing to be wrong. And, so many people are just dishonest, and they just fiddle. So I'd say honesty. And I think the idea is there's a depth. Love is just a word, but love can be a word, but really it's 10,000 things. So once you really hook up with someone, it's like, every day, my job is to make sure that I do my part in sending love and sending adoration. Like that, I believe that. And it's not like, oh, you weren't nice to me today, so I'm not going to do it. It's like, that's the only way to have the best, right? And then I'd say, I didn't have this ability, but like, we talk about boundaries a lot, and boundaries just means I have to know what I'm okay with and what I'm not. I have to know those places, and those are like really hard to know. Yeah. They're really hard to know. There's a famous story in my marriage where I was cooking with my best friend, right? And when he comes over, for whatever reason, for years and years, we cook, right? So we're cooking, and we just bought a new house. This was about 10 years ago, just bought a new house. And we were crazy, right? Flipping shrimp. And I see her in the hallway, and she looks in, she looks nervous. And she's like, come here. I'm like, go around. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I'm really anxious right now. I'm like, really? How come? She's like, new kitchen. You guys are going wild in there. She goes, would you mind just cleaning up as you go? Right. And I love her, and I want to be sensitive. I'm like, God, this is really affecting you. And this was a boundary moment, right? Because it was like, I couldn't have a sweeter, more loving wife. She'll do anything for me. She was asking me something. Why wouldn't I do it? But I was like, and I remember this moment. I'm like, well, I actually have the answer, because a lot of times you know the answer. And the answer was, I love you so much. I'm sorry you're going through that. Like, I'm really sorry I have that. I can't do that. And she was like, why? And I go, I'm ready to go, because honey, it's no fun. But I knew what she needed. And I go, but I'll tell you what, 1 hour after we're done cleaning, you will not know we cooked. It'll be perfect. Because I knew that just needed to happen once.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I guess that would be the last point, is there is no way to know everything alone. Yeah. So if you're not vulnerable, if you don't have those connections, because I've been a therapist a long time. You think I know a lot, but there's still places where I have to ask friends. I have to ask mentors. Like, look, I'm a little lost here. What would you do? And if you have good people in your life, then what happens is your map that you look down to just keeps getting more refined and more wise. Yeah. Right. And that seems to be, what's the meaning of life? I don't know, but it seems to be create meaning in life, which means, which means like, I better try to get to my potential. What's my potential? So that's kind of short version.
Yeah. I like that. Create meaning in life. I was just watching something that I don't know, on Instagram or something, and somebody was talking about that exactly. And was like, I think he used almost those exact same words. Create meaning in life is the meaning of life.
What it's all about.
This is a good example.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not sure how you two met, but How did this happen?
We met doing this.
Yeah, we met doing this.
Like,
I came on, him and Hunter were going to have their own thing. And then I came on as a guest. They said, oh, do you want to come and be a guest on the podcast? But you guys hadn't really figured it out yet. And then after one episode and us like getting along really well, they were like, do you want to be a host on it? And I was like, sure, I guess. Yeah. And here we are over a year later, almost a year and a half later.
Whoa, really?
Almost a year and a half.
18 months, I think.
Yeah, at least, maybe.
We filmed probably
April 2024.
Yeah. But how many episodes? We've filmed maybe 90 episodes at this point.
At this point. Wow. Yeah, I think we're up to
an episode a week.
Yeah.
That we release.
Okay. We release an episode a week.
But we'll film. Like she'll fly out and we filmed.
We have a lot backlogged right now.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, huge backlog.
Yeah. Okay.
Massive.
Okay, so here would be the question then. Did you have fear of starting this? How much later after you had the idea did you start it?
So I think originally talked about a podcast with this guy Hunter.
Yeah.
Maybe a year prior before we ever started. But it was like an idea came up. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. People are doing podcasts. Yeah, maybe, it's a lot of work. There's this, there's that. I have to be on a camera. I have to talk. I have to ask questions. I have to also run my other business and this business. And I have to, okay, whatever. It kind of gets pushed down the road. Hunter brings it back up again. I'm like, okay. And then I took it a little bit more seriously. And then, I got pushed to a point where I was like, in the recovery space, I hate this idea of having to pay for ads. I just hate it. I feel like it's just unintegrous, like what you're talking about. I feel like it's just it makes me angry. Like there's something inside of me that it gets really angry about this whole Google pay-per-click and these people that was just super deep pockets and huge investors dominate the space and just collect all of the leads, right? And it's like, if you want to have a good shop and you want to pay people decently and find good people, you can't be spending your budget competing with these other shops. Yeah. And so to me, it frustrated me, and it continued to frustrate me. And I saw this as a way of putting out organic content, getting views, and marketing in a way that wasn't going to be competing with these people, but actually creating authentic, real content
and something meaningful,
provides value, that people get connected with, that people get to know me, get to know Rachel, get to know a different guest, get to learn about topics. And then if they also need help,
that's available.
Right on.
Call.
Yeah.
Were you afraid of failing though, or of being looking goofy?
Absolutely.
Then,
I filmed myself so much before on my phone. So there was a
time period. Do you
still
have the videos?
There was a time period in the early days where when we first started this marketing company, Mad Rose, right? I couldn't go on camera.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Because you were nervous?
Yeah.
It was just
as soon as the camera turned on, I just couldn't get words out. It was like I would try and I just they wouldn't come out the way that I wanted them to. Yeah. I was thinking too much about how I was saying it. I knew what I wanted to say, but as soon as the camera turned on, I couldn't get the words out in the right way. It was like I was too rehearsed, or I wanted it to be too perfect, or I wanted it something. And I remember at my old condo in Calabasas, we set up a camera and we sat there for an entire day, and I kept filming myself and filming myself and filming myself and filming myself. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to film myself on my phone and post it on Instagram every single day.
Did you do that?
You missed this period of time, but this was.
Is it on your page right now?
I think maybe.
Oh, I gotta scroll back.
But on stories,
wow,
I would film my day, and this was when I was really running Oak Forest all day long, right? So it would my first video was 4:30 in the morning, waking up. Next one was making coffee. Next one was praying. Next one was we were arriving at the meeting. Next one was we were at Gold's gym working out. Next one was we were coming back. We were making lunch. And so I was filming my entire day.
Yeah.
And then doing that repetitively, every day. And I would talk and I'd give updates about what I was doing next and what I was doing next and what I was doing next and what I was doing next. And somehow on the other side of that, I became less camera shy.
Yeah, you look casual.
Yeah. It became more
you too.
I guess I'm more camera shy on like doing skits. Like she's really good at doing like skits, right? I'm better at just like sort of like,
that's funny. Yeah.
Maybe being just like talking about whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it took practice. Yeah. And there was a lot of fear, and I had to face that. And I think definitely when we first started this, our first few episodes, it was like,
yeah, you gotta get in a groove.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think we're
in a good groove.
Now we're in like a great.
Yeah, we're in a good groove now.
Yeah. What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time we came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
I ask because we're talking about the meaning of life, and we don't know exactly, or what's God, we don't know, but this thing that you had to have courage, right? So like a bit ago, the book comes out, The Secret, and starts this idea that manifest. If you see it, it'll happen, which I do not believe. Okay. I don't believe in the formal way of manifesting. You just think about it, and then somehow it happens in the universe. Like, come on, that doesn't resonate. But what does resonate is you have to be willing to actually look at, if I didn't have fear, what could I be? What is possible? And then there's that, and then you're afraid of it, right? But if you stick with it, and that's like my gig I started, it was like, I'm not going to do that. I was asked to be on Loveline to back up for Dr. Drew 20 years ago. I didn't do it. I was like, no way. Wait, on
what?
There used to be a thing called Loveline on K-Rock.
Oh, okay.
And Dr. Drew would come on, and he was with Adam Carolla, and they would just take calls. Then it was starting to be filmed. And a friend of mine that was connected there goes, look, do you want to back up for him? And I'm like, no way, man.
Yeah,
I just was too much, right?
Yeah.
You also had to wake up at 4 a.m, which you would love, but right. And so, but the point is that, here we are, like, for some weird reason, right? And because you were courageous, right? You were too, and something could manifest in the world, right? Like, do I believe the Bible? I don't know, but it's like, there's a line in there that says, and I'm a Jew, I'm Jewish, but I happen to know that it says the spoken word is akin to creating reality. And it's like, whoever wrote that, that's pretty smart. So here we are, and creating this meaning simply because all these different moments of contrary action, of that courage. And then what happens is you have to manifest in the physical world. And people don't know, so much is possible. But you have to face your fear.
Yeah, you have to.
And you got to wonder what it looks like. And so,
you have to take the risk.
Well, I think humans, I don't know if we're naturally like self-limiting. You know what I mean? Like, I've really noticed that, including myself for a really long time. I mean, there's still times in my life where I'm like, what the hell? But as soon as I got sober, things kind of just started falling into place. But like, we really don't realize how much we limit ourselves, like the self-limiting.
That's right.
And then people are, you just get your self-worth, and you're like, no, that could never be me. And then, I work in social media, and I get a lot of comments all the time. And I try to make these positivity posts, and this could be you if you wanted to do this, or you can get sober. And I'll always get those comments like, well, that's easy for you to say because you did this, and this. And I'm like, dude, I was literally like a homeless crackhead 7 years ago. If I can do this, and I'm amazed where my life is by just simply doing like the next right thing, anybody can get wherever they want to. It's just like these self-limiting beliefs that really hold us down.
No doubt. No doubt. When our brain, just like our body, tends to want to find homeostasis, I think the same is true for our psyche. I mean, we're here because we have these survival instincts. And the safest thing for survival is that nothing changes.
Yeah.
And so you have to generate that of what's possible. Otherwise, or someone come into your life, whoever helped you. Yeah. Otherwise you don't see it. Again, back to a map, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And it's right. It's a self-limiting belief.
Yeah.
That's just that's not possible.
Yeah. And there's levels of it, because
we seem to be so geared to it. I think the way you said that was really,
we just we are just so self, and in there's still lots of ways that I am today. Yeah. The level isn't what it was, probably 7.5 years ago in my addiction or like all of these other things. But it's like, I feel like there's a lot of times we just limit, Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and here you are spreading the word.
Yeah. Doing our best.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where do you struggle? Where do you struggle? Do you struggle with honesty anywhere? Do you struggle with ethics anywhere? Because, you run a big company and advertising pretty hard. So
yeah.
Yeah.
God, where do I struggle with honesty? I think less in the company and more so for me. It's like I struggle right now. I'm dating.
We've been waiting, so this is good news. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I think I struggle in that for sure. I think it challenges me for sure.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And especially if it's discovery period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Dating is the part, right? I think it's like what you were talking about with attachment, and it's like, I'm trying to learn how to go through this and make mistakes and then correct the mistakes and then get back into honesty. And then sometimes I feel like we were just talking about this we did our own little episode and I was talking about this, and I guess it was dishonest by omission, but I didn't know I was being dishonest by omission. And then it allowed the other person to assume something, because I was assuming something.
Yeah.
And this is all very innocent stuff.
Lack of communication, and not being honest about, she wasn't being honest about her feelings.
She wasn't, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And both of us were trying to be like, almost like kind
nonchalant
to each other or something.
Well, I think it's also that nonchalant in the beginning.
Taking care of each other's emotions.
That's the tricky. What's our job?
Right?
Yeah.
Rather than talking about this thing that maybe would make somebody, they're going to think I'm crazy if I say this.
Yeah. Like, it's hard to be vulnerable in the beginning because you don't know what your boundaries are. And then I'm making
all sorts of assumptions because she hasn't said anything about what she's clearly thinking.
Yeah.
And then it came to a head, and it was like, sort of like, got this message like, okay, it's coming to an end. And I was like, okay, that's fine too. I'm cool with it ending.
Have you had to face rejection yet?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what it was. And then,
great.
And then what happened was, so then it ended, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And that's fine. I'm cool with that. And then it was like a week later, or a week and a half later, we follow each other on Instagram, and then we sent a message back and forth. And then she was like, oh, I miss you. And I was like, no, well,
she missed you the whole time.
I miss you too. You know what I mean? Right. And then all of a sudden it created the space to have the honest conversation. I'm like, wait, so what happened? Yeah. Because you sent me this message, which was very final, and I'm not the kind of guy that's going to like push that. Like, so what was it? But it didn't seem integrous. Like your message didn't seem like it was the truth. Like what is behind it?
Yeah.
And then she told me, and then I got to tell her like, oh, that's like, it blew my mind what she was thinking. And then I told her what I was thinking, and then she was like, oh, and it was like this moment of reconnection. But yeah, I don't know. It's going through that right now is an area that's, it's tough, and it's, it's, I want a companion. I want to be with somebody, and I want it to be, just fully open. I want it to be that thing, where it's like you really, really know each other. And it seems like it's been a very hard battle to get there. And I think there's a lot of past that I have to continue to look at and not allow to come into my future ones. So, But yeah, it's been tough for sure.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Road,
Stay tuned for more of RJ's dating journey, because we'll be doing updates.
That's right. That's right.
I feel like it's so funny because it's like in business, it's just business to me seems very easy to be, pretty black and white on what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it seems.
Well, it's much simpler.
Yeah, it just seems so much more.
Humans and human relationships are a lot more complicated,
More needs, less fears.
with that, in that aspect.
Yeah. In your experience with treatment, how special is Oak Forest?
Oak Forest is very special. I've had my fair share of treatment experiences. I've even worked in treatment myself, and Oak Forest is like something I've never really experienced before, and I think that it's almost something that like cannot be replicated anywhere else, at least from what I've seen, right? And so it's just like this community and the love and the support that goes from the beginning of the process, and not even just with the clients, with the families, with everything else. Like everything that I have seen goes above and beyond. And like beyond, even as like all of these people are being employed long after they have completed treatment, right? And I think that right there says everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I went through an experience recently with one of the companies where I had a number of people that were working for me that were all being very dishonest, and then having to find it out and then take action. And I sat on it for probably longer than I should have, because one, it was so shocking, and two, it was just so gnarly.
Yeah, betrayal's gnarly.
Yeah, it was just so gnarly. And what I did was what you talked about. Was I called so many people. I just kept calling people and calling people and calling people. Calling people and checking my thinking and checking my thinking and checking my thinking and checking my thinking, getting advice and getting more advice and getting more advice. And then I executed on what it is that I needed to do. And I'm now on the other side of that, and it feels good, but I think sometimes it's just, I think where I can be dishonest. Sometimes I want a business to just run, and I want it to just run well, and it isn't automatic like that.
No.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Everybody's living a little bit of their own world.
Yeah.
And it really takes time to get an A team.
It does.
And you just have to weed, but that ability to look someone in the eye and fire them.
Oh yeah.
And it's really, it's an important thing to be able to do.
Oh yeah.
And you just, because I know you're a sensitive person, and which can lead to codependency, where we're taking care of people.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm going to say something to you right now, and I know right now you're crushed.
Yeah.
You're hurting, and I'm going to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And then must have taken some time to get that skill.
Yeah.
It's an art, I guess.
God, that's this last year. I learned that in a huge way, for sure. Yeah. It was tough to go through, for sure. But what I think, what it's produced on the other side has been, I think, more courage and more, just ability to walk through some tough things.
Yeah. The myth about the abyss is, if you look into it, that there's nothing there, and that, the abyss looks back. Yeah. But the reality is, if you look long enough, the light comes.
Yeah.
Stick with it, and the light comes. And out of curiosity, do you believe in soulmates, or that there are many soulmates?
I believe there's many.
Yeah. Wouldn't make sense too much. It's like here to find one person.
One person.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I went through like this period of time where so I've been single a long time, and then I dated for a long time and just went on lots of dates, but was very much like, I'm not going to be in a relationship, and just went on lots of dates. And I feel like it taught me so much about that there's so many different kinds of people, and then so many different kinds of people, and then there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
You know, and that there is no like one soulmate.
Yeah, I don't know. No. I think it would be maybe for some people, you know, who knows?
What you said, it's like
knows?
There's people who I feel like I've gone on dates with where I'm like, this is a really good, integrous person. And there's people that I'll go on dates with that are not.
Yeah.
And it's that.
Right.
I feel like it's just,
that's great.
It's just that.
Yeah. Because no matter who it is, that's that thing about, can they admit they're wrong? Do they want to know if they're wrong? Some people don't want to know.
Yeah.
They just want to feel good.
Right? You know?
Yeah. And so, because there's no way you're going to have a relationship with anybody on the planet that my weaknesses won't show up, your weaknesses won't show up. And to be able to be in that space where, you know, what happens if we're both in a weak spot? You know, my rule for couples is only one person be crazy at a time. You know what I mean? So like, right. Yeah. But that's it. Can someone work with that principle throughout the years?
Yeah.
And, that's why it's hard. Couples work is probably the hardest work I do, other than like the hardest trauma, but it's couples work that's the hardest.
Right.
Because
I would imagine so, especially in today's world with all the odds are against it.
Yeah.
A relationship, a long-term relationship.
And the longer they're together, the harder it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you see a lot of couples break up and then get back together, like after a long period of time and then at work? I'm just curious. No. Okay.
No, I mean, it happens. And if it's going to happen, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
People go journey and then they become.
And they come back to each other.
They come back. That's usually how it would work with the same person, unless there's some kind of repair, healing in the moment. But that does happen. I wouldn't say it's common.
Yeah.
Because usually as people grow, they grow in a different vein.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to encounter different characters. And then usually that line is going to have someone show up for you to match with and take the risk he's about to take.
Yeah, right.
You know, sometimes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. God, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
thanks. This
You're
was
welcome.
awesome.
You're welcome. And I want to, I just want everybody to know that it's really important that they know that you've always been a man of your word. I'm going to talk about you on my little deal. And I do want, if it's okay to you, to plug for, can I do a plug?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know that I have the 30-second therapy. So 30secondtherapy.com or my Instagram is Dr. Paul. Yeah. Is it Dr. Paul? Yeah. Dr. Paul. I guess, no, it's Dr. Paul Hersh.
Okay.
That's what it is. And as you know, we talked about the point of that is not a moneymaker. The point of that literally was exactly what we said. It's like, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I probably know some things. And like, what would be meaningful? What would be meaningful if I could save people time?
Yeah.
And because that's what helps me. I mean, I was never going to be a therapist. I went when I was 13. It was a waste of time. And I was like, that is junk. And then when I went back, I was like, oh, it's technology. Like it's wisdom. That's what I'm after. And so what happened was like, I could do that. And it was like, well, that's scary.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just write one. I was like, God, I would have wanted to know that. And then it's like, you're going to be courageous, you're going to be a puss. Like, what are you going to do here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, which version? And then, so the point is that is that's not supposed to be a moneymaker. It literally is just there. I'll probably I'll at least do 3. I could go up to 5 seasons, but we're in our third season comes out Thanksgiving. And then why I want people to know that is sometime in November, I'm going to try to do a free, what I'm calling is large scale therapy group. So what I'm going to do I'm working with a company called supportgroups.com. The concept of that is pretty soon they'll go live, and anytime you want, depending on, you have an autistic son, you have, you have an anger problem, you have an addiction problem, and you just want to process.
Yeah.
You can go online and there'll be a working group that can take an extra person that's human run. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I telling you a little earlier, there is an AI component that they're going to want to make sure they're at the edge that they're at the edge with. So there'll be an avatar of me with you could play with, but it's not me. It's just AI.
Yeah.
But they just want to do that just to be a part of what's coming. But the point is, I want to experiment with that. I want to experiment. What happens if I let 500 people in a therapy room for an hour and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virtual room, right? Because, historically it would be, I work with you. Then I ask Tom, do you see that, Tom? How do you feel about that? Gina, what do you think? And I'm doing it that way. But I know for a fact that if people can see good work happening, that they learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream therapy sessions with certain people that are open to doing it.
Right.
Oh,
So
wow.
the audience can be part of a course of therapy.
Oh, that's awesome.
So every week they
I
can
love
just,
that.
whether it's couples or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
So
I
good
love
stuff
that.
coming. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
Definitely find him on Instagram. His
Yeah, and we'll link it. We're going to link it, guys. So check
we'll
the
link it,
description or
it's
whatever.
Phenomenal. Like it's really, really, I've watched every single one. I mean, there's not a single one I haven't watched. I like actually love it. I think it's incredible. And I think it's, like I was telling you before we started, it's amazing how you get it down to such a small, 30, 45 seconds, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So happy.
On deep topics.
So
like
happy.
that are, I'm truly amazed. And I think it's incredible. And I think, you're seeing the results. I mean, it's already, so many of those clips have taken off. And I just think that you're onto something. And I think it's amazing. It provides value. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just really
just
a
healing
lot of
the
value.
world.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it. It gives me chills because it's you don't know how it's going to be received. So it's just one day at a time.
No, I think it's just, you know what? I was so excited about it. And I think you got messages from me. I'm like, I was like pushing you. I'm like,
it was helpful.
Dude, like, come on. Like, I want to see it because I've known people that have gone to see you. Mm-hmm. Right. And and it's interesting because I've got so many different relationships with therapists via clients. Right. And the feedback that I've always gotten has just been so just beyond incredible. Right. And,
thank you.
And, I mean, and what you said about me, I feel the same way. I mean, like, anybody that needs help, I'm like, dude, you got it. If you can get in with Dr. Paul, I mean, like, make that call. But, it always had me wondering, like, what is it? Like, what is happening in there? And when you came out with 30-second therapy, it was like, it's like glimpses.
Got a little feel for it.
Yeah. It was like, you know what I mean? And that's what had me so excited about it, because I would hear from other people that had been going to see you and what they would say and the transformations I would see people go through that were seeing you. I was like, what is it?
Yeah, cool.
Like, what is it?
That's so cool.
And, I think you talked about that, meeting people in that vulnerable place and winning that trust and, slowly opening that and walking them through and, teaching that, bravery and pushing through the fear.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it real because thank you so much for saying that. It gave me the chills when you said it, because it's just a work in progress. And you know how it is when you're doing it, you see the negative parts, you see the downside, but it's really kind of surprising that it's gone so well. And it's like, okay, I guess this is what it's the idea of whatever the universe wants.
Yeah.
So it's a little corny way to say it, but it looks like I'll keep doing
going.
it. So such a pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.